Good afternoon, everybody. This is the first episode of the Patriots Press Podcast. My name is Greg Johnson. I'm a Trentonian. I'm joined today by my two co-hosts, my guys, my friends, Matt Kardos of SomersetPatriots.com and Mike Ashmore of MyCentralJersey.com. We cover the Somerset Patriots, who are the Yankees AA affiliate. This is our fourth season on the beat doing it together. We also go way back in different capacities. Me and Matt both covered the team when they were when the Yankees were affiliated with Trenton in AA, and Mike has covered the team dating back years in Trenton as well. And we also work together as he's a freelancer at the Trentonian as well. So I think this is a long overdue experience for us together. We all been covering the team for a while and become good friends, and we have a good rapport and can share some insights on the Yankees of tomorrow here in Somerset. So, how do you guys feel about starting this together, Matt?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how fast it happened. I know you spearheaded the idea. You've been talking about it for about a month now, since kind of this season got underway, and it's kind of, I guess, in the last couple of days, like gain momentum to like we didn't even know we were doing this 2 or 3 days ago to now here we are at the ballpark recording it, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, I think I tried to figure it out before. Between the three of us, we have over 40 years combined covering the Yankees AA affiliates, and Mike is obviously predates even the affiliation here in Somerset, going back a long way when they were in the Atlantic League. So I just think the pulse that we have in all different ways and dynamics is pretty unique, and I don't think the internet's necessarily filled with minor league or Yankees minor league specific podcasts. So I think combined, the three of us have a lot that we could kind of share and offer to. It seems like an ever-growing interest in the minor leagues. It seems year by year people get a little bit more interested in the farm system and the prospects and how they're performing. So I'm excited to do this. I think it could be something fun, and I hope people that are going to listen get a lot out of it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm good to be with my guys here. I've been here a long time, as we've all been so kind as to mention. Started here in 2003, but one thing I have not done here is a podcast ever. So very excited to get a chance to do that and kind of, share some opinions and, take a look at some of these guys who, there's a lot of interest in, especially, as we're getting going here with some of the promotions that have been coming up here lately. A lot more eyes on this team. So I think we're all excited to get a chance to kind of share what we see with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, one reason I really wanted to start this was that, as a way to expand our coverage beyond the feature stories you write, and also as a way to engage more with fans and readers. So if people have any questions about the team, what's going on here, feel free to drop us comments and we'll discuss them in future podcasts. Our plan is to maybe do this once every couple weeks or so. I mean, we'll see kind of how it goes, but we really want to connect with the fans and get people what they're looking to hear. We're all here multiple times a week whenever the team is playing here. We do a lot of interviews with players, so we're watching the guys on the field, we're talking to them. I think we bring some unique insights in that regard. But we can start from the top here of just, how Somerset has kind of been doing this year, because this is an opportune time to start this podcast because the first half of the season just concluded in the Eastern League. The Somerset Patriots finished the first half 35-34, fourth place in their division, but they ended the first half really strong with 7 wins in a row. They had their first 6-game sweep of a series since 2021. And I think the biggest thing you're seeing here with this team now is just from the start of the year, really, is that there's a lot more talent on this roster now. I mean, they started the year with, I believe, 3 top 30 guys in the Yankee system for an MLB pipeline. Now they're up to 8 guys, and we've added guys like George Lombard, the Yankees' number 1 prospect here, as well as several others. The team's been hitting the ball a lot better lately. I believe they had a season high in runs and hits on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And everything's just been coming together more for them lately. And, we'll see if this team kind of hit the ground running to start the second half here and make a run at the playoffs. They're going to have to win the division in the second half, make the playoffs. If they open up here in the first series of the second half against Erie, who I believe won the Southwest Division in the first half and is the two-time reigning champion in the Eastern League. So,
They're always good, man. It seems like every year Erie's like their championship 3 years in a row, and
yeah.
Somerset obviously took them down in 22, but yeah, they've won the last two, won the division in the first half. They're the team you want to beat if you want to go to where you're going.
Right.
And, obviously, in the other side of the Eastern League, they're in the other division, but I think to your point, it's a good statement to come out here, a good test early. They've been hot. It's kind of a transformed team, like a lot of promotions, new look rotation from what they opened the season with. Obviously, Cam Schlitter is now up in AAA, and Brendan Beck obviously gets the call on Sunday. So that rotation is kind of transformed, and you get guys like Rock Reggio and George Lombard Jr. and Brendan Jones kind of promoted in the last couple weeks. So it almost feels like a completely different team than they started with, as is commonplace in the minor leagues. Usually the team you start with in April is vastly different by June or July, and we're seeing that here. And like you alluded to, all the top 30 guys on pipeline that have gotten here have just kind of injected a little bit of an influx of they're just a little bit more talented than they were in April, and I think you're just seeing that in the climb in the standings. Like you said, they finished in fourth place in the first half, but they only finished one game behind second place. So I think it just comes to show you where you looked at where they were at the beginning of May. You're like, man, this team might finish 20 or 25 games at a first at near the bottom of the division. They made a run and only finished a game behind second place with that run they had here the last 10 or 12 days. So I think it's just a big credit to all the guys finally being together and hitting well, and everybody meshing together with the newer guys that have just gotten called up, and they're firing on all cylinders, it seems.
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of a good measuring stick series for this group. Coming off winning 7 straight. The first half wasn't as bad as it could have been, I guess. I mean, if you look at the teams in the division, they scored the most runs as a team. Bullpen cost them quite a few games, if we're being honest. I know we like to keep it positive around here, but that's just the truth. Made a big addition there with Hayden Murda coming in, trying to shore up that bullpen a little bit. Look at that lineup. I mean, at least top 6, top 7 guys. That's as good of a lineup as there is right now in this league. You might see some guys leave there. Spencer Jones is, feels like he's been on the verge of promotion to AAA for the last couple weeks now, since he's been back, since he's been healthy. So kind of curious to see how that plays out. But it's a talented group. It's a much more talented group, again, no offense, than it was to start the year. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out. And these next 6 days here should be a pretty good indication of how that may go against a team like Erie, who finished 45-24 in their first half.
Yeah. You touched on a little bit, Spencer Jones. I think he's really the story of the first half in the sense that he's one of the top prospects who's been here all season. He has had a really strong first half, really bouncing back from last year where, last year he had a historic number of strikeouts. His power was a little bit lacking at times. And this year he has come back with a little bit of vengeance. He's made some adjustments. He's still striking out at a fairly high rate. I think it's only down about 3% from last year, but he's really making a lot of hard contact. I mean, I think his ground balls are down by about 12%. His fly balls and line drives are up. And I don't know if you guys have seen anything quite like this in your time in the minor leagues, but I can't really recall a situation where we've seen a guy in the first couple months here literally, you've seen it. I think it's, at this point, it was a little earlier in the season. He's pretty set now, but there was a stretch of this early in the season here where he was literally on a day-to-day basis altering his batting stance and the way his feet were positioned at home plate. And obviously minor leagues is all about development, but to actually see that on the field where you're looking at the guy hitting and he's adjusting where his hands are, where his feet are positioned, I think that's a pretty unique thing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think to your point, he's just been trying to figure out what works when what you're doing isn't working. Like he admitted it wasn't last year. He wanted to go back to more of what he was doing in college, which was a little bit more open, a little bit more crouched backside, a little bit more out, hands a little bit higher. And you saw it early on that it was changing drastically week to week, homestand to homestand. And he said he keeps a notebook from day to day. What did I do with my stance? How did I feel when I did it? What were the results when I did it? And at the end of every week, he kind of goes back, what worked, what didn't work, and maybe you adapt certain aspects of one stance to what you're going to do the following week. And I've tried to watch the last couple weeks, and it seems much more consistent the last 2 or 3 weeks. He hasn't really changed it. I think I watched him on June 3rd or June 4th. I watched some video the other day, and it's pretty much identical to what he's doing now. So that's about 3 weeks of really not switching it up all that much. Maybe there's a little bit. It's hard to tell when you watch a video if something's down an inch or 2 inches. I mean, it's hard to tell how much things change or don't change, but to the naked eye, it looks pretty similar to me, what he's been doing for the last 3 weeks. And in June, he's on base almost half the time. He's coming up there to bat. The power is there, 6 home runs this month. He's the reigning now Eastern League Player of the Week. It seems like he's finally married up to something that is working for him. And I think you pointed out in your intro to Spencer here, and just above all, he's hitting the ball with authority. These aren't dink and dunk shots. Yeah. These aren't little bloopers that are bleeding out there that are just kind of finding their way in, and he's maybe having proverbial good luck now. Like, he's hitting these balls on the screws, and they're going all over the yard. So it seems like he's finally found what's working for him, and I think you're seeing that in the results.
I guess for me, I don't know if I'm disappointed or curious or what the emotion might be on why it took so long to kind of get to this point. Like, if the path was always going to be that he was going to try to get back to his college stuff that made him successful, like, why are we tinkering around with him for so much over the past 1.5, 2 years now? There's so much in that kid, right? Like, it's the athleticism, the power, speed. Like, in theory, on paper, that's a perennial big league all-star, and we just haven't seen it on a consistent basis here. So it's been kind of cool to see him unlock that. It's again, maybe a little curious as to why it took that amount of time, and if it's sustainable too. It's only been a couple weeks. We don't know. As I said on Twitter too, is it him mastering a level? Is it him mastering his swing, his approach? Like, I'm kind of curious to see how it looks when he does move up, which again I think will be sometime soon at this point. So I don't know, but I mean, I still think there's a lot in there with him, and I'm kind of curious to see what the path is moving forward.
Yeah. So just to be clear, I mean, before this season, Spencer Jones had a really closed stance, and what we mean by an open stance now is that his front foot and his overall body are more positioned kind of towards right field, and he also has he's added a crouch when he's at home plate. He has a very quick launch move with his front foot, similar to Aaron Judge. And like Mike said, it's interesting that it's taken this long for him to come to this conclusion to do this, and then now we're seeing results, because when we spoke to him a few weeks ago, he said, he's going back to his college days a little bit with some of this stuff, and it's not exactly clear why he got away from that when he got to pro ball, but in any case, give credit to the guy. I mean, he's 24 years old. He's been in Double-A for almost 3 years now, and he's doing what he has to tinker things. And to quote him, I mean, he said, in the past, I sucked at times last year, and I don't want to keep doing that. I got to be able to consistently hit the baseball. He was very, very up and down last year. This year, he's been a little more consistent with that. I mean, his OPS is up to almost 1,000. He's got 15 home runs, well on pace to shatter his career high there. He was just named Eastern League Player of the Week for the first time since last year. So, I mean, as we're recording this on June 24th, I thought maybe after the first half that would be an opportune time for them to bump him up to AAA. The Yankees have not done that yet, but it seems pretty imminent. I mean, it's still a relatively small sample size, but I mean, we're coming up on 3 months here, and he's been in Double-A for almost 2 whole years now. I think it's getting time for the Yankees to see what he can do at that next level and kind of evaluate him further there, and and then kind of decide what's going to happen this year with the trade deadline. I mean, obviously there's a lot of talk about could he be a guy the Yankees want to dangle in a trade while he's playing well to boost their big league club for the playoffs. Do they think he fits into their outfield plans going forward? But the only way we're going to know that, or the Yankees are going to know that, is if they move up to AAA pretty soon here, and I think you will see that in the second half at some point here pretty soon.
Yeah, and like Mike said, there's just so much in there. I think we're coming up. I wrote in my notebook today. We're coming up on now almost 200 games in Double-A. So this isn't a smallish sample anymore of the overall player. I mean, he's changing things, he's tinkering, and at some point you have to figure it out. I mean, this is a big year for him. These are a big couple months coming up for him. It's nice that he's found consistency here in Double-A, but I think the Yankees owe it to themselves, and I think they owe it to Spencer to find out what they really have here. And I don't think you're going to really know that until you move this guy up to AAA and face more polished guys that have extended big league time, really major league veteran kind of guys that are going to attack you maybe a little bit differently than the guys attacking here. So is it a case of he's mastered Double-A, or it's just a prolonged hot streak? I don't know, but I think 185 games into the Double-A level, you got to find out which one it is. And I think that promotion's got to be somewhat imminent here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I had someone suggest to me on Twitter that they're holding him back from that promotion prior to the deadline, so you're not risking maybe losing some value there if he does go to AAA and struggle. But if you're developing him for you, I think you're doing the kid a disservice. If you're developing him for the deadline or to move him, develop the deal, I think that's maybe a fair point. But if you're developing for you, then it's time.
I think it's a fair point that, you obviously, if you're thinking about moving him, you'd like to be able to sell high. But if he keeps hitting the way he's hit over the last 12 games, I mean, you can't have him hitting like this for another month and keep him here. That's just, like Mike said, that's doing the kid a disservice. And just kind of wrap up, point on here, him. I mean, what he said is that with this kind of new stance he has this year is that it's kind of allowed his hips to be in a better place to start. He's able to uncoil a little bit faster and have faster barrel speed. So, I mean, it's very tangible here as to why he's had better results with this. He's able to hit the ball harder. It's, again, it's a relatively small sample still so far, but I think it's pretty clear why he's having better results. It's not just a matter of, fluky few months here. But let's move on maybe to some of the other top guys on the team right now. Obviously, George Lombard Jr. is the Yankees' #1 ranked prospect by MLB Pipeline, shortstop. He's very interesting because, he's only 20 years old. So in a sense, like, he's not hit the ball very well yet, but he's very, very young. And at his age, I mean, I think we can all agree, he plays a big league level shortstop, right? I mean, he doesn't make errors. He's going to save you runs. I mean, this guy, I think a lot of scouts feel like could play major league shortstop if he had to right now, but he's got a lot of development to do with his bat. So,
when he came up here, I mean, he's the youngest player in Double-A. I mean, 19 when he came up here. So if you're talking about a super young kid for the level, and to already be here, I think is a testament to him. That the Yankees trust him enough as a 19. Now just turned 20 a couple weeks ago, but to come up here at 19 and to already be here, I think is a testament in itself to the kid. But yeah, I mean, elite level defender at shortstop. I mean, that's a guy you're not thinking about toying around with anywhere else. I mean, sometimes you have guys that we've seen come up to be a Glaber. There's always a question: is he a shortstop? Is he a second baseman, third baseman eventually? And I think even now you're still have some of those questions about Volpe maybe eventually moving to second and down the line. But I think you don't really have those talks with this guy. He's a shortstop. But yeah, obviously the next step now is for the bat to kind of catch up to the glove, and this is going to be the telltale sign of that. And where at this level, he's going to have to figure that out here. But I think this is a good kind of second half for him to get that opportunity now. He's obviously going to finish the year here, and I think for all intents and purposes probably start here next year for at least a brief period of time. So I think it's a good kind of barometer to see where he is. What adjustments can he make in this second half for the first month or so that he's had here? What adjustments can he make? What is he seeing from the pitchers here? How are they attacking him? And what can he do to counter those adjustments and kind of make some adjustments himself? Obviously, you want to see the power come. That's another thing that he's got to kind of tap into. You're not expecting the guy to be a 30 home run hitter, but he's got to hit more than 2 home runs a year as well. There's got to be some kind of happy medium there. So you'd like to see some more power, some more gap-to-gap kind of stuff from him. approach looks good. It's just you kind of want the results to catch up to what he's trying to do here. And I just think with time that's all going to come. But just an impressive guy to be around. Just the way he carries himself very professionally, coming from a father who had a long major league career. So this is a kid that grew up in a major league clubhouse, kind of knows baseball speak, knows the day-to-day of how a team operates and the right things to say, the right way to carry yourself as a professional. And he's done all of those things here. He's been a very, very impressive young man to be around. And I'm looking forward to seeing how kind of he makes those adjustments here in the second half.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. Not that anyone should or would care if I was. But I got to see him and talk to him last year in Hudson Valley, and it was kind of a similar story as to where he's obviously super young for level. Glove is no question at all. Intellect, maturity, all that stuff, no question at all. But the bat was kind of lagging behind then, and then he came back there this year to start the year and came out like a ball of fire. So I don't know if that's how it's going to go this year, if he's going to struggle with the bat for the second half, and as you said, probably come back here to start 2026, and we'll see. Hopefully, that's for his case. That's not how it ends up going, but I know they're trying to build in some positional versatility with him, and put him at second, put him at short, and put him at just move him around a little bit, and see maybe what the path is if they need to move him up in a hurry to do that. But kid's a shortstop, and I kind of wonder how that plays out moving forward. You mentioned Volpe. I mean, he's mostly made his mark there. It's been a little, I don't think it's ever truly been at the big league level what any of us who watched him down here thought it would be or could be. I think he's still a young kid too, not to get sidetracked on a whole conversation, but I think there's still potential where he can be a legitimate big league star. It just hasn't happened for him yet. And maybe Lombard is the kid who pushes him to do that. I don't know if maybe there's a trade of some sort down the line here, but if you're playing Lombard, in my opinion, at least in the big leagues, anywhere other than shortstop, you're probably doing your team a disservice.
Yeah, I think it's it's pretty standard in this day and age for teams to play guys at different positions because it's always good for guys to be versatile. I think with George, you get people a sense of the kind of person he is. Like Matt said, for a 20-year-old, I think he was 19 back when we spoke to him in mid-May. He carries himself very well. He's very, deliberate about what he says. You could tell he thinks carefully about his words. He's got a good head on his shoulders. But the guy, I don't think there's any reason for anyone to panic yet about, his hitting ratios and power. But as Yankees fans have kind of, seen up in the big leagues and shown a little bit of disappointment maybe with Volpe. A guy can play as good a defense as you want, but if he's not going to be able, if he's not going to hit the ball, it's it's going to be disappointing for fans. And that's kind of what we're seeing with Volpe right now. Is he's been a very solid defender from the big leagues, but he's gone into these very prolonged hitting slumps. And the Yankees just don't really have another option right now, for someone else to hit their shortstop. So, we're still a long ways away from George really being in that conversation of becoming the Yankees starting shortstop. He's very young. But that could be interesting one day to see what happens there. If Volpe does pick it up and regain his hitting form, and George pushes his way into that conversation. But I think maybe we can move over a little bit here to the hitting side of things. It's been pretty eventful there for Somerset this year, where they've recently graduated a couple top prospects from AA to AAA, and Cam Schlittler, along with Brandon Beck. I'm sorry. And have added Carlos Lagrange from High Hudson Valley, along with Brock Selvage, who came back from an injury. Brock Selvage, I think, is a very interesting lefty right now because he is a 5-pitch guy who I talked to him recently. He added a curveball to his arsenal. Lagrange is a guy who can throw over 100 with his fastball and sinker. What do you guys think about the pitching staff Somerset has right now and kind of what we're going to see in the second half?
I think we were all in agreement. We were all excited when Lagrange got promoted here. I don't really pay attention much to the guys below until they get here, as much as Mike does. Mike goes up to Hudson Valley pretty frequently, and a couple times a year at least, and he's been up there a few times earlier in the year. And he kind of fills me in on who's close. This guy's electric. This guy's got good stuff. And early on, he's a guy that he kind of brought up to me and said he's close to being ready here. He's got electric stuff. And I was excited to see him. And obviously, I think our first time seeing him was his last start here at home. Not on the road last week, but 2 weeks ago. And wasn't the greatest first showing here at home. Had a lot of trouble. I think the thing we pointed out was in that particular start had a lot of issues controlling the running game.
Yeah,
I think that start Portland stole 13 bases on him in the time he was on the mound. It's almost an automatic stolen base. So I think he obviously went back to the drawing board, made some adjustments because the results last week on the road in New Hampshire were a lot better. Controlled the running game. Had a much better outing than he did the first time around. But
yeah,
the radar gun is what sticks out. Obviously, is the fastball. Secondaries are starting to catch up a little bit, but I think this is going to be kind of like what we said with Lombard, right? Like this is the test. This is the level. It's easier to get guys out with 100 plus smoke when you're in high A. When you get here and you have more advanced hitters, guys that have been here for a half a season last year and now a full season here and know what to expect. If you're dotting up fastballs in the zone, they're going to get tagged. He's kind of run into that a little bit early on, but he's really going to have to get by with some secondary stuff here and then kind of control his command a little bit and master that before we could talk about him moving on to another level or talk about him as a legitimate maybe frontline guy down the road. I think those are all things you figure out here, and I think we're going to kind of see that front and center here. I think he pitches tomorrow. So we're going to get to see him again here back at home, the second start at home since being promoted. Just kind of what we have here and then what that package looks like. He's the guy that stands out to me as a guy I'm excited to see. And obviously now Beck goes up to Scranton on Sunday. His ERA is down to like 1.62 on the year. Just an unbelievable start for that guy.
Yeah, good debut too.
Yeah, 6 shutout innings for Scranton on Sunday in his AAA debut. That's a guy you're happy for too. Had 10 starts, I think, his whole pro career entering this year.
Yeah.
Stayed healthy, had a great first half, 1.93, I think, ERA here and 11 AA starts. So, guy you're really happy for to have overcome all the injuries that he's had. And he was on. And I thought he was an interesting kind of case early, as he was pitching so well. Is this someone maybe the Yankees were going to take their time with this year? Let him build up, get a full year? Or is it somebody that, given he's 26, he's missed so much time, first sign of full health, are we going to move him and kind of get a little bit more aggressive in how we're testing him? And obviously the answer was the latter.
Yeah.
Right.
They decided he's 26, he knows what he's doing. He's kind of, I think we can all agree he mastered AA. He had nothing left to prove here and got the bump. So that now opens up a vacated kind of spot in that rotation, which I think might be occupied here soon by maybe somebody in high A.
Yeah, I would expect maybe a Friday or Saturday appearance from Ben Shields. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, I think that would line up perfectly. It just feels the rotation in general. Maybe Bailey D slots back in there. I don't know how that necessarily works. LaGrange, obviously, nothing bad to say about that guy. I'm kind of curious to see him for myself for the first time on Wednesday. Selvage, Sellers, Vreeling. Again, it's probably one of the deeper, better rotations in the Eastern League right now. I kind of bring it back to that bullpen and wonder if they can kind of stabilize in the second half with either some additions or some guys who have been here to kind of get things straightened out. Losing Harrison Cohen, I think, was really tough.
Yeah.
That was kind of your go-to guy who, when he was in there, you knew that was kind of a shutdown type guy, and obviously he deserved that as well. It's how this works. He should be moving on to Scranton, but I'm kind of curious to see who kind of emerges as that kind of shut down bullpen arm.
Yeah, it seems like recently, I think Indigo Diaz has been really good out of the bullpen. I think since May 9th, he's working on 14 and a third scoreless. He's only around 4 hits in his last 13 appearances. He's kind of turned into like the new fireman out there to kind of come in and evade some threat that when Dominguez has to go to the bullpen. One thing, though, I don't think a lot of It's always something that I don't know that like the casual fan just watching the minor league game realizes, but like a lot of the bullpen activity and appearances, like a lot of that's all predetermined.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's not totally based on the situation. Like second and third, Raul Dominguez isn't going out to get his best reliever every single night. As much as you want to attack the situation and go with your best guy, the bullpen is very much a predetermined thing in terms of who's going to pitch on what day, and
Right.
they go on a schedule pretty much like a starter does. They go every couple days. Maybe if they want to get tested, they'll go back to back here and there. But a lot of times it's all predetermined who's going to pitch on what day. And so I always find it interesting because I hear some people say, "Oh, well, why don't you go to Harrison Cohen now? The bases are loaded," and it's just not how minor league development works. Is as much as that would be a good test for somebody eventually going to have to do that in the major leagues, where it's you just call on your guy when you need them in the right situation. It is a little bit different here, and that plays into kind of the results. If you have a couple guys that are struggling in the bullpen, it kind of compounds day after day when maybe the guy's not going well, and the next day the next guy's not going well, and it all compounds. So, like Mike said, the first half there were some struggles there in the bullpen. That I think they've kind of ironed out a little bit. I mean, there's still an up and down group, I'd say, but I think they've kind of righted the ship a little bit more than where they were here in like early May. They've kind of found a little bit more consistency.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen definitely struggled in the first half. I think they blew about 10 saves. I mean, they just lost some games because guys couldn't hold leads. Like you said, I mean, the minor leagues with managing is not nearly as strategical as you see up the big leagues. It's much more scripted as to when guys are pitching, what days they're throwing. And to Mike's point about the rotation, it's interesting to see, what happens here, because right now, I mean, you very clearly have Vreeling, Lagrange, Selvage, and Sellers in the rotation. There's not really a definitive fifth guy right now. I mean, Bailey Dees was a guy who started the year here, got sent down to high A, went down there, had a dominant one outing at high A, 7 innings, I believe, 1 hit, no runs, 9 strikeouts. He's come back up, and since then has been a piggyback guy, throwing multiple innings behind someone else. I think he followed Mason Vineyard the other day. Mm-hmm. So it's not really clear at this point what the plan is there. I'm sure at some point we'll be talking to Raul Dominguez, manager, soon. But we'll see that this coming week here what happens there. I want to go back to something earlier that Matt said about Carlos Lagrange. There was one outing he had, recently when he first came up where he had a lot of trouble holding guys on, and we were having a discussion actually in the press box because Brian Sabine, who's the
Sabian,
Sabian, I'm sorry, was here. He's an assistant to Brian Cashman in the Yankees front office. Comes here, I guess, periodically to keep an eye on guys, and we were talking about how so many guys were advancing, and I was looking at Rafael Flores' numbers there, because he's kind of had another year where he's hitting the ball very well for a catcher, but he's only catching about 16% of base runners stealing. And Sabian was saying, there should almost be a separate category, like a stat there to kind of show how much of that is really on the pitcher, because Lagrange was just not holding guys on. I'm wondering, what do you guys think? I mean, maybe Mike has a little more insight on this. I know you've done stories on catchers and talked to defensive coaches.
Sure.
How concerning is Flores' defense right now, catcher?
I don't want to dismiss his path moving forward as a catcher, but for me, the bat takes him wherever he wants to go. So I want to say I'm not worried about it. And to your point, there obviously is a discussion to be had on how much of those numbers are based on the pitcher and how much are based on him. I know when we spoke to him, I don't remember if it was media day or a couple weeks after. Look, I remember we spoke to him, and I know he's doing a lot of work on making his transfer faster and all that. I mean, he's been fine back there defensively. I've covered some guys, maybe a Gary Sanchez, maybe a Jesus Montero, where you look back there and it's like, but he's not that guy.
Sure.
So I don't don't worry about him behind the plate. I think he's playable behind the plate as he moves forward, and I don't use playable as a disrespectful term. I think he's a guy who can be your starting catcher and say Scranton if that's how it goes, or platoon with Jesus Rodriguez, as he's done here in the past. But for me, the bat takes him wherever he wants to go, and catching wise, if you look at the next levels, it's tough for him to kind of find a spot, especially in the big leagues where, Austin Wells is up there, JC Escar is up there, Ben Rice is going to be catching games now with Stanton kind of coming back and kind of taking away, some options there for DHing and all that. So I don't know how that looks for him moving forward. I don't know if it's first base or nothing. He's an athletic kid for a guy who's his size. I just don't know where else you could put him besides first if you weren't going to catch him.
I think it's interesting too, and you might be able to pull it up here, Greg, but I remember him playing a lot more first base last year, making almost splitting time evenly. Obviously, we had Rice here for a time and all that, but I don't feel like he's played as much first base this year as he did last year. If we could pull that up here to kind of just see what his splits are defensively, but I don't think it's very much first base, which is a little surprising to Mike's point with the emergence of Austin Wells, and obviously JC Escar is on the 40-man, and Ben Rice has the versatility to go back there. You essentially have three catchers at the major league level. Two of them, could hit for power, and their bat plays there. So the path would obviously be a lot more, given they don't have a long-term option at first base signed. Paul Goldschmidt's obviously a veteran. He's not going to be there forever. And there's not necessarily maybe a top prospect that is on your top 30 that is a dedicated first baseman that's knocking down the door there or locking that down. I thought we'd see a lot more of him maybe at first base splitting time there this year than we have.
He last season he played 69 games at catcher, 38 games at first base. This year, 47 games at catcher, only 10 games at first base. Yeah. So, I'm not sure what the reasoning for that is. But like Mike said, I mean, he's got a heck of a bat. I mean, I think he wasn't he the Yankees minor league position player of the year last year? In the minors.
And obviously the value comes at catcher, whether he's yours or you eventually want to move him for a piece. His value is obviously. I mean, hitting as a catcher. Not that you're not happy with that at first base, but obviously catcher's a premium position up the middle, and the value lies in catcher, which makes sense why you keep him there. But kind of like we talked before, if the plan is to keep him for yourself and not trade him, you'd think that a little bit more time at first base would kind of make some sense.
I mean, look at what Ben Rice had to do when he got up there. Like, he had to basically learn a spot on the fly, as Waldo Cabrera had to learn multiple spots on the fly when he got up there. I don't know if they've maybe learned from that or haven't learned from that or what that is, but some of the defensive versatility stuff and the way they implemented that has been kind of interesting this year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Rafael Flores last year, 21 homers, 875 OPS. This year he's off to another great start, 12 homers, hitting 275 with an 818 OPS through the first 68 games here. He's in the Yankees top 30 on pipeline.
I think he's on the same path as Jones. I don't think he's got much left.
No. Yeah, he's another guy.
You're getting to the point here where the sample size is large enough that numbers have been pretty much uniform across the board offensively. I think what he was at AA.
Yeah.
I think it's time for the next challenge. I'd be surprised if we're recording this next episode, whether that's in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever that looks like, and he's still here. If he's still here in 3 weeks, I think something went awry.
Right.
I think he's a guy who's more than earned the promotion, and he's ready for that next challenge.
Yeah. I think one other guy we should touch on for a little bit here is, I think maybe the most underrated guy on the team in the first half was Dylan Jasso, who plays some first base, second base, third base. He's 22 years old. I think he ended the first half with a 27 game on base streak that's still going. I mean, he's been quietly a really solid bat for this team. He's near the top of the Eastern League in a bunch of categories. He's a guy that doesn't get as much attention, but what have you guys seen out of Dylan?
Yeah, I know Mike has been kind of on the Dylan train before.
I mean, a
lot of people, Mike wrote him up and has been getting questions the last couple weeks on Twitter from fans about him. I think the word is underrated. I think that's the best way to describe it. I mean, you could argue he's been the most consistent player here in the first half. I keep going back, and I'm not even talking about like the style or necessarily the way they profile, but it reminds me just a lot of Oswaldo Cabrera. Just the positional versatility, being able to play first, second, third in a pinch. Just the consistency, the growing power that's emerging there. He hit 11 home runs all of last year. He's already at 10. On base percentage is right there, a little bit above average. He's hitting for a good average. But he's just consistent. Comes out every day. He's solid at all these spots in the infield that he plays. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that. There's always a role for those kind of guys. Like there was a role maybe for Oswaldo Cabrera that you maybe didn't think was going to be there when he was here in AA, that he just kind of carved out for himself with the way he hit and his positional versatility. Obviously, I don't think his powers emerged quite to the point where Oswaldo's did. Obviously, I think Oswaldo hit 30 home runs in his year. He was the league MVP. If you go back to that, so I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm not comparing the players directly. They just remind me a lot, soft-spoken, under the radar. Nobody really knows who they are, and I wouldn't be surprised in a year or two, whether it's with the Yankees or somebody else, if this guy's like a regular guy getting 350 or 400 at bats for somebody.
I don't get it. I don't get why he's underrated. I don't get it's an okay system, right? Like, it's not a great farm system. It's not a bad farm system. It's an okay farm system. He's not 26. He's not 28. He's 22. He's not a bad body guy. He's not like your traditional corner profile guy where the body looks like the milkshake without the cup. Like, he's not that guy. He doesn't look like a bag of milk. He's not. I don't get it. He can play multiple spots. He can play multiple spots well. Probably an average defender. I wouldn't say he's a plus defender. He's an average defender. Again, plays multiple spots. The bat plays. Has in-game power that he's able to apply. Leads this team in batting average to end the first half. I don't get it. I look at these top 30s. I don't do the top 30s, by the way, boys and girls. That's not me. I do some other things in Baseball America for the Yankees side. That's not me. It's not a crazy man Josh who bust his tail to do these things too. But I don't understand what he needs to do to kind of get on those lists. I really don't. He's proven himself at every stop.
Sure.
Again, he's 22. He's a legitimate prospect. He's not some dude who's 26 or 28 or guys we've seen in the past. They're kind of like that AA, AAA swing guy, and like we'll see, you can bring him in to like help out the team, but that's really, he's a legitimate prospect. Undrafted free agent, by the way. That's a story in itself, kind of along the Flores path. Like
awesome path too. Left Mexico to go to JUCO, and
right.
Just wanted to kind of prove himself in America at a junior college, but it's not like he went to some big D1 school and had some magical run and got drafted high. I mean,
he put up video game numbers at that JUCO too. It is absurd what he did there.
Yeah, the Yankees have done a really good job of finding these JUCO guys that have gone undrafted. Like you said, Flores and Jasso, two of the better players in the system now came via that route. So the Yankees do a really good job of kind of unearthing those guys and bringing value to them.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably plays a big part of it, right? I mean, he didn't go to a big D1 school. He wasn't highly touted guy coming out of college, so that maybe speaks a little bit into where he is ranked prospect-wise. But at this point, he's been in the system for 3 years. I mean, he should be on those lists, and so you certainly think he's a guy that fans should be paying attention to that could impact the big league.
1,000%. I don't want to do the Andres Chaparro comp because I'm 5 years old. Because I don't think from a physical standpoint that's a fair comp. Chaparro probably had a little bit of a more hefty build to him, maybe to be kind. But what's to hold Jasso back from, say, even end of next year? I don't even think I'm being ambitious. End of next year to be a guy who's in the big league mix. Mm-hmm. What's holding him back? I mean, there's a need. Say he's taking the first. There's a need there. That was kind of the deal when people wanted Chaparro called up, whenever that was. I think it was 23 when he was raking and there was a need at first base, and he ultimately didn't get that. But I mean, Jasso's a guy who, with his bat, and he's playable defensively just about anywhere, he's in that big league mix, at least for me. I don't make those decisions, clearly, but he's in that mix. I don't see why he wouldn't be, especially if he continues to hit as it is.
Yeah. Certainly need a third. Obviously, that's a big glaring hole.
He's a big leaguer for someone. Let me put it that way. Maybe not for the Yankees with how they're able to, sign whoever they want for the most part, but he's a big leaguer somewhere for someone.
Exactly.
No doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah, I'm on the same same page as you 100%. If it's not the Yankees, he's playing for somebody in a year from now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, is these guys are developing in the minors and knowing they're going out there not only with a chance to play for the Yankees, but continue to showcase themselves and develop to even get a chance somewhere else. Whether it's via trade or they end up signing somewhere else. I mean, you always got to keep developing, and maybe he gets a shot somewhere else if not with the Yankees. But I think that's probably a good place to end for today. I mean, I don't know if we have any closing thoughts. I think people should know. I think we're intending to be posting these as video streams on YouTube, and then wherever you can find your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify,
Apple for sure. I'll look into maybe Google Play or something like that. But the big players, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, those are the big three usually. So we'll be up there at minimum. We'll make sure to have on the next episode all the handles to find them and the links and all that to find where you can download and listen, subscribe, like that whole.
We could let people know also as well now, just as a quick reference to our stuff. You can again, we're on X. I'm Greg P_J. You can find my day-to-day coverage and articles on there. And what are you?
At Matt Kardos on Twitter, SomersetPatriots.com. Weekly notebooks,
Twitter/X.
Features a week. So I always have stuff up on there.
Yeah. Yep. At Ashmore 98 for me. No, 98 is not how many years I've been doing this. If you can guess what the 98 is for, you win internet points. But that is not how long I've been doing this. So.
Something along those lines, just not
exactly.
We'll go with that. So that's a clue.
But this was fun. I'm glad we got together to do this, and looking forward to moving along and kind of doing this the rest of the year. See how it plays out.
I mean, the three of us always enjoy covering games together and just talking in the press box about what we see, life, other things. So I think it's good now we can just come together and share our thoughts together on the airwaves, expand a little bit beyond our writing coverage. And thank you all for listening. We will see you next time at a to-be-determined date. And again, reach out to us on X if you want to just send us a tweet or DM us with any questions you have. I mean, again, we were trying to open the floor here to anybody who wants to really know anything about the inner workings of the minor leagues, what we're seeing with prospects, etc. So please let us know if there's anything that you really want on a podcast. We would love to be able to even do maybe a little Q&A if we have enough questions from people, enough interest there.
Sure.
To answer what fans would like to know. And I think that about does it for today. So thank you all again for listening. We will see you next time.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys.